Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online VGC 17 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. If you haven't seen the last episode, because it went up pretty late last night, definitely go check that out, but I'm just going to continue using my winning team from Oregon Regionals for a while before I get the time to make a new team. I will be posting the team analysis and the QR code and the VOD reviews. Those are all coming very, very soon. The earlier of the week was kind of a little bit more hectic than I thought it would be, but I've been able to pre-record a couple of videos or record some stuff, and so hopefully starting tomorrow I'll be able to push all of those content, or all of this content I've wanted to do out. So you guys can keep your eyes open for that, and thank you for supporting the channel once again after I kind of took 2.5 weeks or so off. But we're going to find TY4 from Japan for our first opponent of the day. As always, if you guys enjoy Road to Rank, please share support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. My opponent here is a really interesting team, and mainly because of the Lucario and the Talonflame. Otherwise, some pretty standard Pokemon in Tapu Koko, Tapu Lele, Porygon, and Garchomp. But the Koko is kind of concerning as well as the Talonflame, because that means there's a very potential Tailwind component to my opponent's team. I also have no idea what items those are carrying. Talonflame could be the Z move for all I know. Lucario is definitely a very cool pick that you don't see too often. So, let's see. Now, one of the fun things about this team is that I'm running Explosion Metagross, and I can actually really catch my opponent off guard like turn 1 with an Explosion. Not sure if I really want to do that, though. And that's not exactly the most consistent strategy, especially if your opponent protects. So I might just go with Lele Drifblim here still, because that's by far the most consistent lead option. And in the back, let's see. Definitely going to want Garchomp. Arcanine for Intimidate is tempting, but it doesn't do too much damage. Actually, I suppose it does a decent amount here, but it is super weak to the Garchomp and the Talonflame. Part of me really wants to bring the Metagross, but if my opponent also gets Tailwind up, then Metagross's use is kind of negated. So maybe Kartana. Yeah, that seems like it's definitely the most consistent option, because even if Kartana is slower than Koko, because I have this Sash, I get a guaranteed hit off against it, which can be important, since I can easily put Koko in KO range from a Lele Psychic, a Shadow Ball from Drifblim, or a Fire Fang from Garchomp if I can't Earthquake it. So we're going to get into this first game. Let's see what my opponent's bringing, because I think, yeah, Talonflame and Lucario are the Pokemon I'm really looking out for, because neither of those are used too often in this format. Talonflame, of course, not nearly as good as they used to be in VGC because of the nerf to Gale Wings. We actually do see Koko and Talonflame come out as a lead. So, that's a pretty strong option for a multitude of reasons. My opponent can just go for a Tailwind immediately. I will win the Terrain War, which is why, you know, like, Lele is really good, because you win the Terrain War most of the times. I mean, most importantly, you win the Terrain War against Koko, and against, like, Feeney's not that great because it doesn't do too much damage for the most part, so you can just switch out and back in. So we'll get the special defense increase. Now the question is, what does my opponent do? If I Shadow Ball a Talonflame, like, I think my opponent has two plays here. So I could just Protect and Tailwind. I mean, actually, that's not, like, that's probably still my safest option. My opponent could just Tailwind as well, though, and we see a Thunderbolt into Lele, and I would love to attack here with Lele, but I can't risk losing it, I think, because it one-hit KOs both of these Pokemon. And if we trade Tailwinds, that's fine, because... Is it fine? Maybe I should have attacked with Lele. The tricky thing here is, if you're my opponent, you either probably double up onto Lele, or you don't target it at all. Oh, that's going to target Drifblim. So, I was considering the option of the Z move, but I forgot the opportunity, or, I mean, this is definitely going to target Drifblim, I think. It's got to have. That's really bad for me. Yeah, I should have Psychic there. So I considered the Z move, but I don't know why I didn't consider the option of it targeting Drifblim. Normally you just think Drifblim's always going to go first. And yeah, that one-shots me. That's really bad. Oh, Sky Drop. That's cool. Okay, well, I'm going to bring in Garchomp. Oh, that is definitely not good for me. It's not over yet, but not getting up Tailwind against this kind of team is just so bad. If I were my opponent, I'd double up into Lele. Or you could just Brave Bird and Dazzle. Or you could Protect. I think I'm actually going to Tech Rage and Psychic here. Unfortunately, I don't have Rock Slide, so dealing with Talonflame is a problem. I think I've probably lost this one just from that first turn. But actually, I might be able to get 2 knockouts here since Talonflame did Tailwind. And Volt Switch, okay. So whatever coming in is going to be taking a Tech Rage. And I should be able to eliminate Talonflame, which is my biggest threat to the Kartana. But now I'm facing 3 turns of Tailwind from my opponent's end. But if Garchomp switches in here, my tech... it's Porygon. Okay. So, definitely a smart switching by my opponent. Download will give it an attack increase, but because I have Sash Cortana, it's still kind of a concern. Yeah. So I'll do a lot of damage to Porygon, and I'll knock out Talonflame, but now I have to stall out 3 turns of Tailwind, so I still don't really like my position. I just, I botched that first turn up. The Skydrop was pretty cool, though, but if I just Psychic there, like, yeah, I don't know, I was really worried about the double up until Talonflame, but, and I consider the Z move as well, like, the Z move double up onto my Lele. Yeah, Tectonic Rage does a really good amount there, it doesn't quite finish it off, but Psychic here should finish off the Talonflame. Yeah. So at least I eliminated the biggest threat to my Cortana, but I suppose Porygon is just as much of a threat because of its ability to just Ice Beam to KO me anyway, and since I have Sash, yeah. Ooh, Lucario's the last one. Okay, so I'm not out of this one yet. Now here's the thing, I can actually survive an Ice Beam from Porygon because it didn't get an attack increase, unless it's like super offensive Porygon. I could just double protect this turn, or I could just protect EQ. But my opponent might double up into Lucario to be smart. So I think I like the idea of double protecting, but Porygon could go for a recover. I think I'm actually going to go on the offensive here and just attack. And I Earthquake myself here. Okay. So he's going to Flash Cannon. That's fine, because I shouldn't feign to an Ice Beam. I suppose the endgame is still not that great for me, though. Maybe I should have just protected. And I'm actually faster than Porygon. I wonder if Earthquake just knocks Porygon out here. That'd be so good. Ah! Hangs on with the sliver of HP. It's going to get a recover off. Or it's just going to Ice Beam. Okay. Yeah, I should have protected, I guess. Sash Lucario was also somewhat obvious. Like, if I just double protected there, I just really didn't want the Porygon to get a recover off. Okay. So what do you do if you're my opponent now? If I had only 1 turn of Tailwind left to stall out, I feel really good, or I feel pretty good about my position, but the fact that there are 2 turns is not good. And, yeah, if it wasn't Slash, I guess just thinking back, like, last turn, that play just wasn't that great. Like, I probably should have just double protected and then Earthquake. I just really didn't want the recover to go off, and I thought maybe Earthquake could knock out Porygon in the range, but hangs out with a sliver of HP, unfortunately. I think I have to hope for my opponent to mess up here. I mean, I protected. That's not a good play. I timed out. I mean, regardless, Cortana gets a knockout. I don't know who this timeout targeted. Okay, so Flash Cannon goes into Garchomp. Yeah, I meant to knock out the Porygon there. Unless, like, Porygon should just Ice Beam into Cortana here. Ooh, but it actually recovers. That gives me a slight window of opportunity. Okay. The reason that gives me an opportunity is now Koko comes in. Even though we saw Skydrop, that might be just offensive Koko. This is a tricky endgame. Okay, so Sacred Sword probably should knock out Porygon at this range, but Koko should be faster than me. I don't know if it has Dazzling Gleam, because the Skydrop Koko I played against in the finals of Oregon actually didn't have Dazzling Gleam. If you have Dazzling Gleam, you probably just Dazzle and Ice Beam here. I don't think my Cortana can survive that. I'm going to try to go for the double with Garchomp, and try to go for the knockout here onto Koko. Don't get the double. What? Okay, I'm really confused. I don't understand that play very much at all. Because don't I just get another Beast Boost now from knocking out Koko? Unless that Koko's bulky enough to survive. Or maybe I just Sacred Sword Porygon here, but like, why Skydrop? I don't get that. And my fear is that that's bulky Koko and that it'll actually survive. So I think I'm actually going to Sacred Sword Porygon because I'm sashed. Yeah. And I win the 1v1 against Koko. I'm guessing that's Assault Vest Koko. And yeah, if I... Maybe I should have just Leaf Bladed. I mean, Sacred Sword should knock out Porygon here, though. Yeah. Huh. If my opponent had just Ice Beamed, then Koko can just Thunderbolt me after the Sky Drop. And that, like, that was the... Like, that's why I went for the Double Protect. I don't understand that play. I think my opponent might have just threw that one, but... I don't know. And I can just Leaf Blade Koko. Thunderbolt comes out. So maybe the timeout actually saved me. Yeah, Thunderbolt Ice Beam definitely would have knocked me out. I was expecting a paralysis there to happen. And yeah, after the Beast Boost, Cortana can just knock out the Koko. So Cortana comes in here and saves the game, knocking out 3 Pokemon. But to be honest, I didn't deserve to win that one. And that's because I just led very poorly. Like, Talonflame with the Z move was the perfect counter into Drifblim. Maybe we'll see more of that now that Drifblim is becoming more popular. And I should have probably just led differently. Like, I just played Team Preview incorrectly. Like, I was able to win, but... Yeah, I don't think that's a win I should have had. For, I mean, a bunch of reasons. One, seeing Protect on Porygon in general is kind of a surprise. I guess I can understand that Protect if you're fearing a Sacred Sword onto that slot. But the thing is, once you commit yourself to Sky Drop, I can just Sacred Sword again next turn. So, making Protect there really doesn't make much sense, because I have to commit to one of the two. And I don't know you have Sky Drop up until that point. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that was a game that I probably should have lost, but that's why you never give up, even if turn 1, like, goes seemingly really bad for you. But I'm not too happy about how I played that. I guess if I could reconsider how I would have led, maybe Arcanine Metagross, and actually go for the Explosion strat. But that's something, like, it's hard to say until you actually play against that kind of team. But, like, going up against opposing Tailwind with faster Pokemon on your opponent's end is always scary. I was kind of curious to see Porygon being brought in when it's a Tailwind kind of team. But let's see what my opponent has here. Porygon Hariyama. This kind of reminds me of the earlier team that I had in the year. Which is like a combination of Pokemon I've used. Let's say now Ego, Tapu Bulu, the Lilligant, and the Torkoal. So that's cool. I could go with Drifblim here, but I might not. It's definitely kind of tricky. Because Tailwind... Still kind of deadly. I might finally bring Metagross because it's pretty good here if I can knock out the Torkoal. This is actually really tricky because all of my Pokemon make some sense here. I think I'm actually gonna go Lele Arc. It feels so weird not to bring Garchomp when there's a Torkoal. I feel like I probably have to. Maybe I don't bring Metagross. Maybe I bring Cortana. But Metagross walls so much. Actually, I'm going to bring Metagross. So I'm not going to bring Drifblim at all. That's, like, very rare for me to do, but... maybe I should have. Lilligant Torkoal is, I guess, what I'm fearing the most. But I am kind of bulky. Like, Lele should be actually be able to survive an Eruption. And with that lead, like, you don't do anything to my Arcanine, so you kind of have to commit. But now Ego obviously gives that combination a fair amount of trouble, so I might have to switch out immediately turn 1. Yeah, we actually see now Ego Porygon. Okay, that's fine. Because now I do get a switch in into my Metagross, which is very good against both of these. That's actually the main reason why I wanted to bring it. Let's see. So I actually have Bulldoze on this Arcanine. She's like, who would you target here? If you're my opponent, right? You know, I could attack with both, as crazy as that seems. And if he's Sash and not Life Orb, like, the idea behind attacking with both is... No, you would think Lele is going to switch out, so you'd probably target Arcanine. Right? Lele is too important to give up, I think. Okay, I'll go for a safe play here. I'm going to protect. My opponent could just switch now Ego out, though, into Torkoal and Trick Room, and that'd be really bad, but that's also kind of a risky play. So I'm going to play it safe turn 1. So Metagross makes its appearance. Some people were asking why Metagross. It helps out a lot against Trick Room teams that have Porygon. Okay. Power Gem and Arcanine and Trick Room. Nice. Yeah, I'll take that. Because now my opponent has a Now Ego under Trick Room. So the question is, do I want to double up here? Could just see another Power Gem going to Arcanine, like a Power Gem Ice Beam. And I actually don't want to get a knockout this turn to waste a turn of Trick Room, but we also could just see a switch out. Okay, I like Zen headbutting Nio Ego here to cover a switch out option. Actually, you know what? Let's just double up. Porygon doesn't do anything offensively here right now. He's gonna Thunderbolt, that's fine. As long as he doesn't paralyze me. And Zen Headbutt connects, very nice. Let's see if it's sashed. Yeah, it is. So I actually want to keep Arcanine here because it's really good against Bulu and Torkoal. So originally I was like, oh, I maybe want both of these Pokemon out on the field at the same time. And I could have maybe switched out Arcanine into Garchomp, but I don't want to risk an Ice Beam switch in. So this next turn's going to be pretty hard though, because I assume that Torkoal's going to be coming in now. If my opponent brought it, but you've got to have brought Torkoal in this. Huh? Hariyama, okay. So Hariyama can't fake me out right now, so we'll probably just want to close combat. Which I'd be okay with. Yeah, I'm going to actually switch out into Lele. Because I don't want him to close combat my Metagross. Like, a double up on a Metagross would be kind of bad. And I'm actually going to Flare Blitz Hariyama, hoping it gets the stat drops. Oh, it could be Fight EMZ too. Maybe I should just attack with both this turn. CC. Nice, into Lele. Huh. I mean, we take those. I'm just surprised, but now Flare Blitz might even just knock out Hariyama. I think it's going to be a double up onto meta. Yeah, called it. Nice. Paralysis is definitely a little bit unfortunate. Not the end of the world, but never like seeing that. I'm just surprised. Oh, almost knocks out Hariyama. Doesn't quite get the knockout. That's fine. But he has Flame Orb. So I can just double protect. And it will faint. Nice. I could get fully paralyzed. Which, from my experience, you know, I'm not the best with paralysis when I get paralyzed, but we'll see. Either way, yeah, I'm kind of interested. So one of the things about Porygon is, like, it's not a great Trick Room sweeper. And that's why you typically want to see it partnered up with things that can really sweep under Trick Room, like Gigalith. Like, Hariyama's strong, but it can only target one of two Pokemon because it doesn't use spread attacks mainly. Although I did have Rock Slide on my Hariyama in 2014, which I won in Regionals with. But that was for Charizard-wise. Like, spread moves don't do that much unless they're super effective. As we see Heavy Slam into Lele, and just a Thunderbolt. Nice. So I've stalled out, what is that now? 2 turns of Trick Room? And I've got Chomp in the back. I need to save my resources, though, so I can just knock out the Porygon with the double target. I do have Z-move Garchomp in the back, which is pretty important. It's kind of why I brought it. I'm going to guess Bulu's the last one, because otherwise you should have brought... Yeah. Otherwise Torkoal would have made a lot of sense. So Bulu comes in. That's even better for me, because, I mean, Bulu and Porygon, not exactly the best option for my opponent right now. I think there are 2 more turns of... Oh, no, it's the last turn of Trick Room. Okay. So given that it's the last turn of Trick Room, what do I want to do? I'm actually going to try to taunt the Porygon so it can't set up another Trick Room, and I'm just going to Flare Blitz Bulu. Bulu can only knock out one of my 2 Pokemon right now. Porygon can't get a knockout. I've got Garchomp with the Z-move waiting in the back. Is that damage reduced by grassy terrain as well? I don't think it is, right? Because Earthquake is. Maybe I should have switched into Metagross. Actually, I should have. I should have switched there. That wasn't a great play by me. But basically what I wanted to do was take advantage of the fact that Lele is paralyzed, so I can go first under Trick Room. So he's going to Ice Beam my Arcanine, okay. Probably a double up. I'm actually faster with Arcanine under Trick Room. So Arcanine just gets the Flare Blitz off against this Tapu Bulu. I mean, we take those. I don't know what my opponent's game plan here was. Bringing Nio Ego and Bulu and setting up Trick Room for me. and bring, like, Hariyama. One of the reasons why I used Lele meta in the beginning, I mean, I guess Hariyama wasn't that common, but I knew it was like a decent answer against it. Metagross definitely was helpful though, because being able to switch in that first turn put on so much pressure immediately. Metagross honestly swept my opponent's entire team, and I don't know what my opponent really had for it other than committing with that close combat play. But that's why it worked out in my favor. Yeah, I'm just going to switch out into Metagross to get my terrain back up. And Flare Blitz. Arcanine really was kind of one of the MVPs of this game, though. Able to put on so much pressure. You know, knocking out... I think it picked up... And my opponent actually ends up forfeiting. Yeah, picked up the knockout onto Naigo. Picked up the knockout onto Bulu. Did so much damage to that Hariyama once it was at -1. And the reason why I went for that play was because I figured, like, my Arcanine has a lot of HP investment, so it can take a close combat from Hariyama. Whereas Metagross, like, the double target would definitely knock me out. A double target onto my Arcanine might knock me out because a close combat, I think, might actually proc my berry. Like, does around 75% or so to proc my berry. Heal back from the berry, and then it can't knock me out. So that was, like, a relatively safe play as well. I ended up calling it correctly, but even if my opponent doubled up into Arcanine, I think I still would have been in an okay position. Really would have come down to damage rolls, I think. But, yeah, I mean... This game, I kind of won out the fact that my opponent didn't have great resources. Like, turn 1, I played safe. I was very close to bulldozing with Arcanine, but I was like, that's kind of silly. If you consider the risk versus reward, it's not worth just losing Arcanine immediately. The only downside is if my opponent totally read me turn 1 and switched Naigo out into the potential Torkoal and Trick Room, because then I would have been in a pretty precarious position, because Metagross is banded and it can't really switch out safely. I mean, and it can't protect either. But in the end, ultimately, it was able to stall out the Trick Room turns. Paralysis, I guess, helped me more than anything. And because I have slow Arcanine, slow Lele, I was able to actually outspeed the Bulu and win the game. So, yeah, it's going to be it for this one, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As always, leave a like if you did. I'm going to be playing, I hope maybe at least to get to the 1700s with this team and then switch to a new team. We're on kind of a nice win streak right now, so I'll see if I can keep it up with that. But, yeah, it's going to conclude this episode, guys. Like I mentioned, I'll be posting some new content really soon, so keep your eyes open for that. And thank you guys, as always, for watching. All right, peace.